All right, welcome to the Wine Education Institute series on what to expect from the WSET Level 3 Award in Wine. This video is specifically on preparation for the exam and what to expect. Hi, this is Barney Treadway, President of the Wine Education Institute, a approved program provider for the WSET. Now, the WSET Level 3 Award in Wine is an advanced level in the wine world and a well-respected accomplishment. If it were easy, that wouldn't be the case. Many in the business, or even as consumers, find this process is sort of life-changing. It illuminates weaknesses and opens one's eyes to the amazing and vast world of wine. And now, while the exam for the WSET Level 3, it varies with every exam, and some can be easier than others depending on what you are most proficient in, you can't rely on getting your favorite topics in the exam. It's a two-part exam containing a theory section and a tasting section. There's no room to address everything covered in the text. You may be deep on the Piedmont or solid on Burgundy and end up with an exam that doesn't even mention them. So first we'll discuss the tasting exam. Globally, the pass rate here is about 85%. If you know the expectations and aren't in a coma on the day, you'll stand a good chance of passing. You'll be presented with a red and white wine at the same time, and you will need to construct a tasting note for each in a combined time of 30 minutes. This amount of time is appropriate. We often see students writing their notes to the last second, but it's usually revisions or tweaks, as the notes can be written in half an hour provided you know what is expected. So what is expected in each note is to describe and assess each wine using the WSET's systematic approach to tasting. This is also done blind. This means using the terms and descriptors provided. And the way this happens is by committing the SAT to memory. Use this structure every time you taste wine, whether you are in class or not, whether you are sampling 2-buck chuck or telegraph. By the exam date, you need to have these down. Whether you use an acronym or some other way to remember, you need clarity, intensity, color for appearance. You need condition, intensity, individual aromas, and development for nose. You need all of the palate descriptors, sweetness, acidity, tannin, alcohol, etc., etc. Each one of these is worth a point. Now, the exception are the aromas and the specific flavors, which are worth 5 points and 3 points, respectively. Now, while this is a blind tasting, being a hero and stating that the wine is a 1998 Petrus, and you may be right, doesn't get you any points. Anyway, each note is on a single sheet of paper, and there's little boxes for you to write in each of these appearance, nose, palate conclusions. You are not given intensity to mark a note beside. You have to remember to make a note on intensity inside nose and inside palate sections. Please know that often the wines chosen are in marked contrast in quality. This is important for you to know and for WSET to test you on. It's very interesting to see what test conditions do to one's palate and the related hyperfocus when you're tasting a wine under these circumstances. We've had an average $8 Pinot Grigio be mistaken for a white Burgundy under a test condition. As APPs, we are given a specific wine style to acquire for the exam. We won't be asked to specifically obtain a 1990 Petrus, but may be asked to provide a high-quality right bank or other very good to outstanding Merlot-based blend showing ample secondary and tertiary characteristics. So, for each of the descriptors, you need to use the qualifiers on the SAT. You cannot get a point for moderate acid when you meant to say medium. You can't get a point for stating medium plus alcohol when you only have low, medium, or high for the alcohol description. Intensity, big, huge, no, needs to be pronounced. Now, your wine, for instance, may be right in between medium and medium plus in tannin. The examiner may choose to accept either of them as correct, but if you put both down or otherwise hedge your bet with a medium to medium plus on the tannin, you won't get any points for tannin even though you're exactly correct. Now, in the flavors and aromas, you can hedge your bets a little. If you smell plum on that Merlot and it's, is it red or is it black? Put red plum, put black plum down. You do not get marked off for wrong descriptors. If you have CMS experience and try to use straw as a color, you're not going to get a point for color. Stick to the SAT. Unless something is bursting from the glass that's completely unusual, then put that down as well if it's not on the sheet. It's rare, but it sometimes does happen. So clearly, with 5 points available for aromas and 3 for flavors, write at least this many. If you can't find that many, possibly you have a simple wine. The word simple is worth 1 of those points. Now, if the wine is simple on the palate, make sure you put simple there as well. There's 2 points available. You can't get them unless you put them in both places. And another tip, if the wine has secondary and tertiary elements to it, for goodness sake, write some of those descriptors. Stating the wine has secondary and tertiary character is not worth anything. You need the relevant specific descriptors. And really, if you get forest floor, are you sure there isn't a little mushroom and earth lingering as well? Write those too. Now, while the pass rate for tasting is over 85% globally, ours is, I think, 95%, the theory is indeed the trickiest part for most people. Students often assume that since there are 50 multiple choice questions at a point apiece, and 4 short answer questions, that a good multiple choice score will carry them. This is not the case. Your 4 short answers are worth 100 points in total, and even though the score for them is combined in your result, you must get at least 55% in both multiple choice and short answer. So, you get 95% in multiple choice and 52% in short answer, you're failing. Whereas you got a 56% in both, you got to pass. Multiple choice section average scores are above 90%. Short answer last year saw only 57% of people pass this part. Now, our school has pass rates above 70% for short answer, and part of it is likely due to the following strategy. We suggest that when time begins, you go immediately to the short answer and read every question, making single word notes or a bullet point in either the margins of the exam or on a scrap piece of paper. Then go back and pound out the multiple choice, circling any that you might need to come back to. You don't want to ponder too long on a single multiple choice answer. Then come back to the points that you've written, reread the short answer questions, and then start transcribing those bullet points or single words into the answer. We've seen people try to write their entire answer out on scrap paper and then transcribe it back to the exam. There really isn't time for that much rewriting. Proper sentence structure is not a requirement. Just get your answers down succinctly and in bullet points, at least if you have to. Skip the ones that are holding you up and circle back to them after you get all the ones you can get answered done. Remember that a single part of the short answer can be worth 4 to 5 points and sometimes more. Focus on the short answers that are giving you trouble before you go back and deal with isolated multiple choice that are only worth a point. Another tip, remember the specification book that came with your packet? Possibly not. Many people look at it when it arrives and then put it in the back corner somewhere. This is a vital piece of your pre-exam review. Look at the sections and cross-check your notes against what's in here to see where your gaps may be. Now, there is one giveaway that many people miss. A giveaway that can get you halfway to a passing grade, almost halfway to a passing grade, on the short answer on its own. Now, with the vast amount of wine regions and related varietals, it's easy to sort of relegate sparkling and fortifieds to the back burner. 25% of the short answer points involve sparkling and fortifieds. And those sections in the book are relatively small and concise. Have this arrow in your quiver. A little time with Muscat de Baume de Venise, Rutherglen Muscat, Port, Sherry, a little more time with sparkling without missing New World, and get a little comfortable with Asti and Prosecco production techniques, it will pay off. Trust us on this. Also expect to see both New World in-depth questions and something in-depth on a classic region or two. Often students are just ready to go with Burgundy or Piedmont, but then can't remember Chile's regions and styles, or which South African wine does Pinot versus Bordeaux blends. You could easily see equal points given to each of these. Remember that WSET is a global entity with focus on global players. This means South Africa, Argentina, Chile, and Australia could seem like minor players to Americans, but all of them are larger exporters than the US is, hence bigger players on the world stage. Another painful thing to see is students fail to answer the question and instead regurgitate what they know about something else entirely. The classic example of this would be when a question says something like, large old oak barrels are often used in Alsace and don't influence the wine's aromas. Why is that? Students will often launch into a discussion of the allowed Grand Cru, VT, or SGN varietals where they are ready to show they've studied Alsace. But this isn't a question about Alsace. This is a question about large old oak barrels. The answer would be the same whether or not Alsace was even mentioned. Rereading the question, as we recommend, can save you time and points. One little tip, be solid on the 2 lowly pages on Tokai. They appear way more than you'd expect. Now, regardless of whether you take the course online or in person, you'll need to come to an approved program provider like us to take the exam in person. And there are the 2 parts of the exam, theory and tasting, and you have to take them both at the same time. Now, but failing one, again, means that you only have to retake that failed portion again. You can retake as many times as you need to. And although we covered it in the other video, here's a sample single short answer question that involves Chardonnay. Nice, everyone knows Chardonnay. Well, how about this single question that has multiple parts, asking you, Chardonnay can grow in cool and warm climates. Name a region for each and describe the impact the climate has on the potential fruit quality. Next part, same question. Vertical shoot positioning is often used in cool climates for Chardonnay. Why would a grower choose VSP? Next, some Chards have intense aromas of butter, hazelnut, toast, vanilla, and quite full body. What are 2 techniques that a winemaker can employ, and explain how they might achieve their goal of making this type of wine? Same question. You're working in a restaurant, a customer wants a French wine that shows these big body, intense aroma characteristics. What are some good options? And what temperature would you serve that wine at? And then finally on Chardonnay, last part, how might you preserve an unfinished portion in the bottle for more than a couple of days? And explain why your choice would work. Yeah. Well, we hope this helps you understand the WSET Level 3 Award in Wine, and hope it helps in your studies. Getting to the exam is an accomplishment. Don't be discouraged if you don't pass. I'm sure you'll hear certain people say, oh, it was easy. Because people don't usually brag about needing to take it 3 times or failing it and giving up altogether, although that happens frequently. Feel free to ask us any questions in the comments below, or better yet, shoot us an email to info@edu.wine. We'd be happy to answer any questions, whether or not you're a student of ours or not. But we would love to have you in one of our classes. The in-class and online schedules are posted at edu.wine. And one of the most frustrating parts of this exam is your wait for results. Now, WSET is actively working on decreasing the turnaround time, but they do give full attention to every exam from multiple examiners, which is very important when you have a written answer, like is required in the short answer. You can expect to wait 2 to 3 months for your results. Plenty of time to second and triple guess your answers. We'll receive an email from WSET, and we will forward those results to you the same day we get them from London. Pins and certificates follow usually a week or more later. Part of our tuition includes sending those via priority mail anywhere in the US. Again, while we have satellite testing and teaching centers across the US, we're also happy to travel anywhere in the world to teach and test this curriculum. And once you have your level 3, be sure to check out our accompanying 100% online certified advanced sommelier program that's only available to graduates of WSET Level 3. It's nice to add the title Somm to your WSET Advanced on that business card. Cheers and good luck.